Hey guys, welcome to this random Jurassic chat that we're just going to have in celebration of Jurassic June. I have Chris Pugh with me from Jurassic Outpost and Chaos Theorem.
Hey, how's it going?
and we have Tom Fishergen. Fishergen? How do you say your last name? Fisherden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're off to a good start, guys.
Yeah. And, well, I think if you're in the Jurassic fan base, you know exactly who he is. We were going to be joined by Clayton, who unfortunately couldn't make it in time. So we just got together because we figured for Jurassic June it'd be fun to just chat all things Jurassic and just sort of have a bit of a chinwag over stuff. So, and this all came about because you two were playing Halo. What number Halo was it? I don't know. I'm not
Halo
a Halo
3 ODST.
Halo 3 ODST on live stream, and you guys were chatting Jurassic and stuff, and I was in the chat with Clayton, and I was like, man, we need to just have a chat together because it's just fun. And I think we were talking about the history of Jurassic Park 4. That's what we were.
Jumped into that a little bit.
Yeah, but Tom, you were saying that you, obviously being younger than us, you have a different sort of approach to the history of Jurassic Park 4 than what we did. I thought it'd be fun if you actually, told us how your experience of the build-up to Jurassic World in that sort of 14-year gap between JP3 and Jurassic World.
Cool, yeah. So for me, it was quite interesting because growing up, I was always into a dinosaur show called Primeval, which I'm sure both of you will be familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to absolutely love that show. I'd watch it. I think it was every Saturday when it came out, up until the 5th season. Then there was like a year gap because it got cancelled and they did a spin-off set in Canada instead, which wasn't as good, but, it happens sometimes. And then after that show had wrapped up, which I think was about, I want to say 2011, I think was Primeval New World. I kind of went away and was looking for other dinosaur properties and things. So obviously Jurassic Park being the biggest one out there, I came across that quite easily, watched all 3 films. And for me, it was quite bizarre because at that point I hadn't really tapped into the community at all. I just kind of saw it as this comprehensive trilogy that told this complete story, and then that was it. There wasn't any more to it. So I remember watching all of those, rewatching them a couple of times alongside Primeval, and then all of a sudden around 2013, 2014, all of this talk about Jurassic World starts. And it was quite weird for me because obviously I had not been into the franchise for that long, so I hadn't experienced the massive gap, the drought in Jurassic content that everyone else had experienced. So really it kind of came in right at a time when I was really into it, I suppose, and I was kind of like figuring out where I wanted to go in terms of my profession, doing creative media and stuff like that. So it was interesting because the franchise kind of came along and really started influencing me at quite an important time in my life.
I think you're the only fan I know of who went from 1 to 100 in a few years in terms of their involvement in the fandom.
I always say that. I just popped up out of nowhere.
You did. You really made you really stuck your foot in the sand and went, right, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny though because it feels like you've been along for the whole ride.
Yeah.
I mean, this ride's been a little bit longer than I think that I give credit. It all feels so recent to me. The build up into Jurassic World.
Yep,
obviously,
same.
Jurassic Park 4 was a bit of a different story, but the build into Jurassic World, the community, it felt very natural, and I feel like that everyone's been here, and it's only been a short amount of time. But honestly, I was looking back at some of the people I follow and things like that, and I'm like, wow. It has evolved. There's a lot of new people. There are a lot of people that have dropped off the board. And there's just been a lot of time.
I've been trying to drop off the board for years. I've been trying to get out of this fandom for years, but I just can't.
Yeah, you gotta get out of it.
Yeah. I keep finding these chains around my ankles that lead all the way back to this Jurassic headquarters, and I can't seem to saw the chains off.
Can't quit it. Quit it.
Yeah, just need that Jurassic. Got any more of that Jurassic?
I mean, there's worse addictions to have, you know. It's not that bad.
Yeah, like Star Wars. No, I love
Oh.
it. Someone listening to this is just like, oh god damn it, Chris.
But Tom, did you know about like the lull in between? Like, did you take note that Jurassic Park 3 came out in like 2001, and like, or did you just think, oh, it's like yesterday and it's now coming out?
So I knew it was an old film, but I knew nothing about a Jurassic Park 4 having been in development for so long. And it was only when I actually started getting more vocal in the community. I started, ironically enough, Chris, visiting Jurassic Outpost for the first time and seeing all the old scripts on there, that I really started to realise that actually this was something that had been consistent throughout, and it wasn't just something that had seen a resurgence in 2014 and 2015. So it's quite weird because even now, talking to people going back through, I hear a lot more about all the different things that the community used to be like, and all the different failed scripts. Obviously, the John Sayles script being the most prominent one because of how different it was, but then loads of other different things that have come along at times. The story about Jurassic Park 4 being on the board at the studio lot up at Universal. So it's really interesting hearing actually how long there was something going on behind the scenes that never quite materialised.
Yeah, just while you brought up the John Sayles script, like I remember hearing about this script for like ages. Yeah, and it'd been up online and stuff for a while, and I just hadn't got around to reading it properly. And everyone was talking about like human dinosaur hybrids and all this sort of stuff. And then when I read it, it's crazy. Like, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely insane. But at the same time, it wasn't as crazy as I was expecting. And it's only later that I learned. I think it was a later script that he penned that involved real human dinosaur hybrids and what the concept art that was released, that's what that was about.
Carlos Duante's concept art. Yeah, because that concept art that we have from Carlos Duante is not from the same script.
No, yeah.
And a lot of people do conflate the two, don't they?
There's definitely a lot of synergy between those two scripts, because those two ideas, because they both existed around the same time period. I think Carlos's art popped up like 2 years or a year after. I think it was Ain't It Cool News that kind of gave the rundown of the John Sayles script. So they always kind of were associated with one another in people's mind.
Yeah.
Even I myself, I kind of subconsciously associate them with one another, even though the script itself, it's bonkers. It's really well written, and I wouldn't want it as a Jurassic Park film, but it's really well written, and it's bonkers, but it isn't dino-human hybrid bonkers.
No.
Yeah.
Although, didn't the raptors have human DNA?
I think they do have something introduced into their DNA, yeah, but they don't have like human body parts, or like they're not like a walking triceratops that walks upright.
They were described as looking exactly like the velociraptors we know, more or less. I mean, like, there were no noticeable changes. There were those Excavaraptors, which, by the way, still absolutely fascinates me. I kind of love it. I know I shouldn't. There's a trapdoor raptor.
Oh yeah, I love that idea. If there was like a different dinosaur they could introduce that idea to, that would be really cool.
So bizarre. I love it. I don't really quite like. Someone said that and they're probably right about this, but they probably think John Sayles read the Jurassic Park novel, and with the raptors building their nest underground, he probably got inspired by that, and then just penned in trapdoor raptors, Excavaraptors. It's so cool. Maybe they were supposed to be hybrids. I don't know. Maybe there was more to that story that they're going to explore with Jurassic Park 5.
Yeah, that's like I love it, though. That's an idea I actually think would work on screen, but it would need to be like a different. I don't know. When I was doing the history of Jurassic Park 4 video, I did a scene where I did like storyboards of the Sayles script, and so I had to draw them like sort of how I sort of saw them in my head. But the Excavaraptors, I imagine them to be like black, so they'd hide in the holes in the ground, so you barely see them, even though they're like right near the entrance, and they'd be like the trapdoor thing. And they were smaller. Like, I imagine them to be like a smaller version. I'd like to see those on screen. Like, I'm not going to lie. I think they'd be really, really kick-ass and a scary, unique dinosaur.
Yeah, I mean, I actually won't lie either. I like the idea, and if explored in the right way, I love it. I don't
What
know.
was there Dilophosauruses swinging from their tails
They
on a
swing
tree?
with their tail. They use their tails to like swing from tree branch to tree branch, which is just absolutely absurd.
Yeah, that can stay
This
on the
is
script.
bonkers. It is bonkers. But the thing is again, it's not right for Jurassic Park, but it is really cool, fantastical imagery. And what I would have loved to see is no doubt concept art was made for this script. I don't know how long it was developed and how far it made, but somewhere out there, artists, professional film artists, officially worked on
Yeah,
artwork
they
for
would
that
have.
idea. And that
Mm,
means somewhere out there, these really crazy, cool, out there ideas were realized at a point in time. And I would just love to see that. Like, obviously, the franchise has gone in such a different direction, but it
mm.
was so well written. The ideas were so interesting that while I'm glad they weren't, that's not what Jurassic Park became. I would love to see it. Like, that is something after all these years that I just keep hoping somebody updates their portfolio. It's like Jurassic Park 4 circa 2004. It's like, yes,
Well,
let me see that.
that's the thing. Is like you never know when it's going to crop up. Like before we go on a
No, yeah.
tangent, I just want to just go back and just say that like the Dilophosaurus is swinging from the trees with their tails, and the trapdoor raptors, like they even though it sounds ridiculous, like it's cool because it's like he was mining from like the real animal kingdom and thinking
Hmm.
like what would dinosaurs be like if they if we saw them for real, and they might do stuff that we think's absolutely crazy. But it was like, but we do have animals that exist today that do that, like monkeys and lemurs and all that, use their tails to get around and that. But anyway, no. But going back to the whole, if they release that concept art, like this franchise, you never know what's gonna like come crawling out of the woodwork next. Like
Like
you
the
can
Lost
never.
World cartoon.
That's exactly what I was gonna bring up. Yeah, that crazy Lost World cartoon. You thought human dinosaur hybrids were weird.
Yeah,
That's the weird of the
this
weird.
this thing. So okay, so actually, here's an interesting history lesson.
Go into the
After
backstory,
Jurassic,
Chris. Let's hear it.
After Jurassic Park, Kenner was very involved with the franchise. They were very invested in it, and they really loved Jurassic Park, and they wanted to see where it was going. So they were working in conjunction with Universal Cartoon Studios with the Return to Jurassic Park cartoon, which eventually got the axe. But internally, they would have meetings with Steven Spielberg about where the sequel was going. And something that Steven was kind of kept going towards were hybrids. And before Chaos Effect, before the Lost World, apparently something hybrid was designed, like in physical form, and it wasn't a toy. That eventually kind of got forgotten about and then dusted off years later with Chaos Effect. But yeah, apparently that idea then incepted the idea for the Lost World. Now, Steven at that point did not want to bring the idea of hybrids into the live action films. He was taking a different direction with them. He wanted to kind of explore it with like side content and kind of evolve these stories on the side. At
Mm.
least not yet. I don't know if he had a game plan where he wanted to bring it in years later. I don't
Well,
know.
we know that he brought that idea to the table for Jurassic
Yeah,
World, so
yeah,
he
he
definitely
definitely
did
came back.
save it for a later film. I think if I'm gonna like speak for Spielberg here, I think my guess for his motivation with that idea being like talking the films here is that like he knew that that's a concept that would need to be built up to, or at least sit in people's minds for a while. So the
Yeah.
idea, I think, strategically was to release it in a toy line and a cartoon, which never happened, and like have that go on, and then people would eventually go, well, are they going to do that idea in the films, and how would they do it?
It's kind of like a natural transition into it, isn't it? Because you see it here and there, kind of slowly getting watered into the line to the point where it feels like the only logical next step is for it to pop up in the live action as well.
Yeah, it's like the toys and the merchandise, the testing ground for like what they can potentially do in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and on top of that, a lot of times these toy designers, especially then, they would really become invested with the movies. They would even churn out concept art. And in the early kind of the blue sky development stage, where it's like, okay, here's our general premise. Now just pump out art, whatever your heart desires, and it might inspire our script as we work on it.
Yeah,
So there's that stage of development where it's just like, pump out art. This is the setting, this is the premise, but we really don't have it worked out. Just show us what you as an artist envision for that, and it might inspire where we go. And then eventually, obviously, the script gets ironed out, and then the concept art really focuses on the moment script. But Kenner, back in the day, was very involved with that. In fact, they started working on a Jurassic Park 4 toy line in about 2003 or 2004. I unfortunately, no concept art or prototypes ever came out from that.
That wasn't with that raptor. Yeah, what was that? Was that anything to do with that green T-Rex raptor hybrid maquette or whatever that was?
No, because then Hasbro lost the license and it went to, I think it was Toy Island or Toy Factory or something like that, and they were working on a Jurassic Park 4 toy line, but that wasn't Hasbro. But the whole premise of that toy line was basically, it was apparently pitched to them by Universal and Spielberg as G.I. Joes versus super steroid dinosaurs, and that green T-Rex was a mixture of a T-Rex and a Velociraptor, and the Triceratops, I think they called it like the Roid Rage Triceratops.
Roid Rage, I like it.
But yeah, that was the idea. They wanted to get it kind of very gung-ho and, guns blazing against these monstrous dinosaurs. And
yeah, you see, I think there's a lot of Jurassic fans out there who would like that idea, but then there's another good section of the Jurassic fan base who'd be like, dinosaurs shouldn't be just cannon fodder.
Yeah, you know where I sit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, but had the dinosaurs been these hybrid steroid ones, then I think more fans would be like, yeah, shoot them up, like kill them.
Oh, for sure. I don't think they can really do that now, just because obviously Fallen Kingdom, especially with the marketing, they tied it so heavily into animal rights and animal activism. I can't even speak, animal activism, that now to kind of then turn around and be like, oh, here's all these steroided up animals, let's just blow them all to pieces, would really go against what they've built for it now. But it's interesting to think there was definitely a time where we could have seen something like that.
I can definitely say that when we were designing social media stuff for the Extinction Now campaign, I did a picture of a T-Rex with a big target over its head, saying something like it didn't say kill it or something, but it was like basically implied to shoot these dinosaurs, and Universal were like, yeah, we can't use that. It's remember this is a family, or like a dark family adventure, but not that dark. And I was like, yeah, fair enough, I know. And I think that eventually turned into the T-Rex roaring, and it says like 300 deaths or whatever it was, that viral thing. And I used the lime green as a homage to Godzilla 98 in it, and like making it all lime green. I think that was that image, but with a target over it originally. I've never liked the idea of dinosaurs being cannon fodder. I think that it's very easy to do, and I think that they're like, for a dinosaur to be shot, especially in the movies, it's the video games I'm like a little bit more leeway on, but the whole movie side of it, I remember making this video about the 10 rules of Jurassic Park back when I was really like thinking I knew everything about it. I was like, these are the 10 rules of the movies that they can't break, and one of them was, if you shoot a dinosaur, you die. And and I've since come to think about that rule as stupid, because Grant shoots at the raptor and he doesn't die. But
he didn't shoot the raptor, he shot at it.
Yeah, he shot at it.
That is true.
But I think when in the film series, if they're going to shoot a dinosaur, it has to be done in a way that's like clever. So Blue being shot in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, in my opinion, that's a much more clever way of dealing with a dinosaur being shot than just have loads of people gunning down a load of raptors or something.
For sure. Yeah.
And also like the InGen guy in Jurassic World who shoots the Dimorphodon out of the sky, like just nonchalantly just takes it out, and it's not even attacking them. That's more impactful, I think, than just, we're just
it kind of sets the this is a bad guy tone straight off the bat in that particular scene, because you can just tell that he really does not give up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's one of those balances that they have to kind of make, because obviously there's the whole ACU team going in to capture the Indominus, and Owen makes a point of like, you're going in with non-lethals. It's like Owen's the one like going, take some guns in and take it down.
Exactly. No, I mean, I think that it's only reasonable to option lethal force. It's not necessarily anything that you want to use, and it's more of a last resort type of thing, especially for the good guys. But ultimately, they are animals, and I mean, you normally when working with animals, you normally have to have a lethal force option in mind if things get a little out of hand, even in zoos.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an unfortunate and ugly truth about it all.
I would recommend not using spaz shotguns though, because they are short-range shotguns.
Oh, that kills me every time, because we see the original park workers with M16s, we know that they had assault rifles. And yet you've still got Muldoon, who's like, oh, I'm a game hunter, I'll get my very trendy shotgun that has got a massive jam rate as it is in real-life gun mechanics.
It looks cool.
It's just useless.
It looks cool, and it has the cool handle and everything, but
I don't blame him necessarily, because his idea was probably like, these raptors, they're pretty battle hardened, I'm gonna need to blow this thing away.
No, it does make sense, because he knows that they're going to be probably, what's that line in Aliens? I keep this handy for close encounters. Like, he's expecting the raptors to like be on him, so a shotgun does make sense.
He expected them to do exactly what they did. He just expected that he'd be able to predict the exact kind of battle plan.
But my advice is
maneuver.
Yeah, but my advice is, if you're going out there shooting dinosaurs, don't take a spaz. Like, just
minigun all the way, just shred everything.
The minigun's good. Just don't put it on a helicopter.
Yeah, and don't try and shoot something that's bulletproof with it.
Yeah, aren't crocodiles? Some crocodiles, their backs are bulletproof, aren't they? Or am I just?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
or hide. A lot of animals, actually, depending on the caliber of the bullet, can deflect or absorb a lot of the impact of the bullet. But yeah, crocodiles. There are a lot of animals. If you shoot with the wrong caliber, you're going to get
it's just gonna
a rebound fragment of metal
that could then take you out.
You shoot a croc on the back with like a low caliber
rifle, and you've got an angry croc as well.
Yeah. Well, it's probably like a mosquito. Oh, they don't know what mosquito bites feel like, I would guess, with hides like that.
And they're cold-blooded, and I don't think mosquitoes drink cold blood, do they? I think they only go for warm-blooded animals.
That's true, but after they've been basking in the sun.
Oh, no, you're right. That's how they heat their blood up, don't they? It's funny because my lizard does that. She sits under her light all day, and then at night she's really active. It's like, because she's finally got the energy from the.
Mosquitoes do bite reptiles, but they prefer mammals.
Oh, there you go. The more you know.
I had to Google that real quick.
So, Tom.
Yeah.
Question for you. Yeah. Jurassic Park 3.
Yes.
What were your thoughts of that when you first saw it compared to the other two, considering that you joined the fandom in the way you did?
I literally had this question yesterday on another podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's because I'm fascinated with your mind, because you came into it when you did. That's why I'm finding it fascinating. How did you react to it? Because it's different to a lot of the other fans like myself who have been there from the beginning, who have, we have our memories of all that sort of stuff. But to have someone new come in is refreshing to hear. So what are your thoughts on Jurassic Park 3 are?
So I really enjoyed it when I saw it the first time, just because obviously I didn't know that there was all the change in script with Joe Johnson and everything. And I just really appreciated the fact that they were doing more new dinosaurs. So I remember really, really liking the Spinosaurus. And I did think it was a bit weird that the T-Rex was killed by it, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. I really, really liked the idea of the Velociraptors and having different types of Velociraptors, showing their sexual, is it dimorphism? I think that might be the right term. Yeah. I thought that was really cool. And I also kind of liked how the film as a whole explored more to do with us again trying to abuse the natural world for profit, especially with Billy trying to steal the eggs. Obviously, it shows how we take from nature even when we're trying to essentially leave it alone and not do anything. Like, obviously, it's happening with Sauna. They're there to just try and find a kid, but there's still somebody trying to exploit nature in some way. I thought that was really interesting. And fun side note, I completely forgot Billy's name on the podcast yesterday, and it was really awkward because I was just sat there like I have no idea who this character I want to talk about is. But yeah,
forget Billy. Billy, jump, Billy.
Oh, Billy.
I thought overall it was cool, and I really liked as well getting to see more of Sauna's infrastructure, because obviously you see Sauna in the Lost World, and then seeing the aviary I thought was really cool because it was an attraction that we had never seen before. So I really liked that. I liked seeing some of the waterways, but I think that might be more to do with my kind of media consumption and what I look for, because I really enjoy films which take their time to world build. So for me, having the opportunity to go back into that world from the Lost World and then see a lot more of it, get a grander idea of kind of the different facilities that were part of that island, was really cool.
Yeah, the Embryonics Administration is probably my favourite location on Sauna.
Yeah.
I wish we could have spent more time there.
Yeah. It's just such a cool setting.
We got like a really cool sequence in there, but it feels very abbreviated and very rushed.
Yeah, agree.
Definitely.
I think what that movie would have benefited from is if one of the mercenaries that like Paul Kirby had hired, if they were actually like piggybacking this journey to exploit the island or exploit some of the technology, and if they had survived to that point. So if we got to see somebody that was less invested in survival, I mean, definitely invested in survival, but also invested in kind of poking around the EA to see what secrets it held, I think that we as a audience could have really explored and learned a lot about its mysteries while exploring that set piece, just to have somebody invested in it.
Yeah,
in an exploitative way. It would have been really cool.
I think it would have been cool to have like the characters stay there overnight, and one of the mercenaries, I don't know, heck, Nash, survive a little bit longer.
Or just another one to them.
Or another one, yeah, and then like that the next morning they wake up and that's when the raptors attack, and have one of the characters bite the dust in that place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be really cool.
Extend the sequence a bit, extend our time in it, explore some of the secrets that it had.
I know, like in the
what Engine was up to.
Yeah, see all their like nitty gritty secrets. I know in the Jurassic Park Adventures Survivor book, I believe Eric is hiding. If I remember correctly, I might be wrong, so someone might need to correct me on this. But I believe he spends a lot of time there, and he ends up finding like this lost property place, and he finds some rollerblades, and he ends up rollerblading through the corridors, and then he gets chased by raptors in there, and he's like rollerblading from the raptors through the Embryonics Administration. I believe it did mention a few things in there.
My instant question is, there were only staff on the island, so who had lost rollerblades? What were they doing in the Embryonics building?
Well, here's the thing. I think it's meant to be because the village was on the island, and there was like other reasons why there could have been rollerblades. But one of the other interesting...
You had to live on the island to work on these islands, or at least for extended periods of time. So there's probably people just bringing recreational items.
Yeah, but I'm with you, Tom. Like, how did even if that was the case, how did the rollerblades get from the village to this laboratory in the middle of the jungle? But I think they also mentioned that's where Eric, I think nearby, he finds, I think it's in a truck outside, he finds Grant's first book. Like, he actually finds one of Grant's books out there. Like, so someone on that island had a copy of Grant's book before. Obviously, what happened? Well, that's why Grant was on their list to go and inspect the park.
I really liked those like Jurassic Park adventure books. I mean, I don't think I've read them since I was whatever age I was when those came out, whenever they came out. But they really, like, I remember vividly a lot of scenes from those books, and it's very rare to have something like that stick with you like that, especially if you've only read it once and it's been that long.
Yeah, the first one is most interesting because it's the only one that's in first person, and it's told, and it's Eric's writing, and there's a bit at the beginning where he talks about how like he's really famous from surviving from Site B, and this is his account, his account of staying on the island. So you're reading it from like basically his journal, and then the other two books are like both in third person, and the third one's just insane. The second one's a little bit more interesting.
Wasn't there a scene in the first one when Eric is like out on a field and like a thunderstorm rolls in or something, and like raptors start hunting parasaurs or triceratops during the thunderstorm, and then like the grass catches on fire and it causes like a stampede from a lightning strike?
I think it's iguanodons. Yeah, I believe that does happen.
Okay,
yeah.
I just remember that being one of the coolest sequences imaginable, and like I still think that is just so. I love the idea of pack hunting dynamics. Watching these animals hunting for food, but also just the setting of it just being sort of nature itself without dinosaurs can be a little wild. And it just, to me, that really felt like it was hitting all those moments of what Jurassic Park is, which is like a wilderness adventure movie for me in a lot of ways as well. It's just adventure and raw and vivid, and the rain pouring down, the humidity, the sweat on your back, bugs buzzing by your ears and stinging you. Just, I don't know, something about the way that scene played out and the way that I read it, I really liked it. And that's coming fresh off of me seeing Jurassic Park 3 and not liking it.
Well, that's like in the Lost World novel by Crichton when the characters are observing the raptors' behaviour from a distance on the fields below when they're like hunting and all that. I do think in the films there is a little bit of a lack of the raptor pack hunting. It'd be really nice to see, a pack of raptors take down something. I know the ending. Well, the original ending of Jurassic Park 3 is like what I would like, my dream scenario of a film scene, and I'm so irritated that it was cut because it makes the film. It would redeem Jurassic Park 3 if they'd have left this in.
What was the original ending? I don't think I've ever heard it.
Well, obviously there's like loads of original endings because there's many scripts, but like from as far as I could tell, this one was really late into it before it was changed. But the ending was the Spinosaurus is attacking them on the boat. Grant manages to get free first, just like how it is in the film. Like he gets out and swims away first. But instead of pulling up like a flare gun, he pulls up the flute,
cool,
the resonating chamber, and he doesn't know what to do. He's panicking. The Spinosaurus is about to eat them, so he calls for help, which is what he heard earlier in the film. And even in the film, he says, "My God, it's calling for help!" Like, so he imitates the help. And then slowly but surely at the sides of the lake, all these raptors start to appear, like looking at the Spinosaurus. And then they rush in and they take down the Spinosaurus. Like they actually beat it. Like the raptors bring it down and kill it. That would have been really cool
to see.
I think that would have been an amazing ending. Just because, one, for all the fans who would have been upset with the Spinosaurus killing the T-Rex, to see the raptors kill the Spinosaurus. Like there's no fan out there who doesn't like the raptors in some capacity. I think they would have been like, yeah, that redeems the T-Rex in a way, like to have the raptors take down the Spino.
So I'm gonna be the one that goes against the grain with you two here, and I'm gonna say I don't like that. I do think it's really cool imagery. I'm not gonna lie, like it is pretty cool. I'm just glad it didn't happen. I have a myriad of reasons why I don't like that.
Go into it. I want to hear why. It's interesting.
Well, I think that it hammers in the idea of two things. I think it brings the idea of humans communicating with dinosaurs sort of directly in speaking their language to the resonating chamber a little too literally.
Yeah.
We get to explore it a bit at the end of the way Jurassic Park 3 ends. And what I like about it is
he does call for help in the film, doesn't he? He does.
Yeah, and then they're a little bit. They're just sort of confused. They're like, okay, that sort of sounds like us, but it's not us. I like the way the raptors, like they all kind of get agitated and confused.
Yeah, one of them goes to attack him.
Yeah, the only reason why they really leave is because they hear the helicopter and they're like, yeah, you know what? Screw it. Like we got our egg. Let's.
Yeah, they also know what the sound of the helicopter means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really cool way. Now, I do think that movie needed it needed more anything in the ending for sure. It just needed a lot more throughout. But
I think the way I'm
so
picturing it in my head for that original ending is not so much that he calls for help and the raptors just instantly help out. It's like they turn up, they're confused, and then they spot the Spinosaurus, and it's like a bit of an opportunity to attack.
that's my
kind
other
of thing.
thing. It's just that doesn't track with. I don't see raptors. They come in, they see the Spinosaurus. They're not trapped in a room with the Spinosaurus. They don't really have any reason to
You
attack.
think they're actually? I do agree with you there. They're like maybe a little bit too smart.
They would kind of look at it and just nope out. I mean, unless the Spinosaur then shifted her attention to them and thought like, "Oh, I like the way these taste." Forget this. Let's go for them. But then again, they're a hard meal. So, yeah, I don't know.
I need to see because I've only heard about this ending through other people, so I need to kind of read it myself because maybe I'm mishearing it. Maybe Grant doesn't escape. Maybe he's still trapped and he's calling for help, and obviously the raptors just don't see them in the cage, so they think that there's a raptor in there. But I think the scene, I need to read it, to really see how it really plays out. I will admit that.
I'm afraid it would feel more like a monster movie. Now, if the Raptors attacked the Spino and they didn't win, if it was enough to distract and bring the battle elsewhere, and so we kind of see a bit of all these Raptors attacking the Spinosaurus, and the battle kind of just goes elsewhere, and then our human characters take that moment to escape, and we're left to presume that probably the Raptors eventually break off their attack, and then we find out the Raptors eventually track them down and get the eggs.
Yeah.
I think that could work for me. It's a little too much of a monster movie. Animals, you just wouldn't really see that happen. And
no,
it's also a little too much like a human purposely causing that. I think that if we saw something like that happening, we would need more of it being incidental, like the river is going through the raptor nest, and they just
that would have been a cool way of doing it, actually.
There would have to be other elements at play for me.
The river goes through the raptor's nest, and they're like, "We've gone in circles.
We're going in circles."
Yeah, Grant's just putting the eggs back where they found them.
Yeah, he's like, "Well, while we're here."
Yeah, I get exactly what you mean, Chris. I do. I don't know why. It works in my head, but when you say it like that, I'm like, okay, yeah.
It would be great in a cartoon.
I just want to see raptors take down a massive theropod. I think that, to give the raptors a little bit more oomph. Taking down a herbivore is fine and all, and more naturalistic, but to take down, to see the ending of Jurassic Park where the raptors attacking the T-Rex, but what if a pack of raptors won against something like that would be just...
I could see them taking down something like a Carnotaurus, because it's a little bit smaller.
Yeah, that could work, or a Baryonyx.
Yeah.
But I just don't see them hunting an animal like that. So you'd really have to have a very certain reason for these animals to not only get into a scuffle, but to maintain their scuffle to the death.
So what if Grant was climbing on its back, on the Spinosaurus's back, calling for help? And he's like, help, I'm up here, like that. And the raptors had to sort of...
The raptors just look at them and go yeah, no, you're on your own, buddy.
Yeah.
I would love they just walk up, they turn their head kind of like that curious side turn look.
Yeah.
Look at each other and just all slowly back up. Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense. Not touching this one.
What is going on here? Tom, you were going to say something. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I think otherwise it becomes a bit at risk of feeling too tongue-in-cheek, like the sequence with Blue and Rexy against the Indominus, where it feels a little bit like it wouldn't make sense, but it's just happening because it has that wow factor. And I do get, actually thinking about it, with what you're saying, Chris, it's not correct predatory behaviour at all to go after something that's bigger than you, because the whole idea of the food chain as a whole is that you hunt the things that are underneath you. You don't go for the thing above you because it will kill you.
I mean,
I don't know. I've seen many videos of animals doing all sorts of crazy stuff with things that shouldn't be, that they're hunted by.
Well, you could have things I don't know, maybe where the river was, where they're going down the river, maybe there's a big carcass on the side of the river, and it turned out raptors had made a kill. and then the Spinosaurus shows interest in the carcass, and the raptors start defending their kill or something like things like that would logically, where there's a reason for both of them to try to stay in the area and fight to the death.
Yeah, I think I just like the idea of Grant using the vocal chamber in such a way that he, I don't know, it's like he uses that to I don't know, it felt a bit lackluster, the fact that he just confuses them even though they're stood right in front of him. Like, obviously in real life, if he did that, the raptors would probably just like launch forward and kill him right there, because they'd be
they knew he wasn't a raptor. I just don't think they've ever heard like that type of sound come out of a human, and they were just sort of perturbed by it. Like this is a development. Yeah. Oh my God, they're getting smarter. The humans are getting smarter. They can communicate.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how these ideas do get recycled, though, because the end, as you were just saying, Tom, the end of Jurassic World, you know, Owen does, like, the Indominus slaps Blue out of the way, and then he whistles and commands his pack to attack because, you know, they're under attack from the Indominus, and they do that. It's just obviously they don't win against the Indominus, the Delta and Echo. But yeah, it's like they do kind of do that. That is kind of cut from the same cloth as Grant blowing the vocal chamber and the raptors coming to help, kind of thing.
It works a little bit more for me though, because it's not like Grant speaking the animal's language.
Yeah.
And he also had raised and trained them for those types.
You mean Owen? Sorry, you said Grant.
I was
like, which film have you been watching? Oh my God, I want to see that one. I want to see that one. Where's that one?
With Owen had raised them.
Yeah.
And he had trained them for these circumstances, and I think that works a little bit more than like in the case of Jurassic Park 3, like Grant just by having a piece of technology being able to speak the raptors' language, so to speak, and calling them into attack. Like, that's just a little too much. Like, it's pulling these wild animals and making them kind of controllable and commandable by dinosaur language spoken by humans. Device. And it's a resonating chamber, so it's not like an electronical device or anything, but it's still a bit too much of a kaiju film at that point.
I did, going back to what we were saying earlier about Park 3 though, and having the moments to breathe, especially when it comes to seeing the dinosaurs in their natural habitats, hunting naturally as opposed to humans being involved. I think there's a really good opportunity to explore all these things in Camp Cretaceous, because as the kids are exploring Nublar, I don't see any reason why, especially as we know they're going to be there after Jurassic World, where presumably everyone's been evacuated, they could kind of start to see the dinosaurs get into these natural habits. And I think that actually taking the time to breathe and really explore those ideas could be one of the best things that this show could do.
Yeah, just for legal reasons, we don't know anything about Camp Cretaceous, despite our involvement with Jurassic. Camp Cretaceous is a perfect opportunity for them to do all that. Like, perfect opportunity. And I'm really glad that I don't know anything about it, aside from, like, what we know now with the name.
I pulled up the press release right now to pull up the synopsis, and literally all it says is, a new camp on the opposite side of Isla Nublar, but when dinosaurs wreak havoc across the island, the campers are stranded. Unable to reach the outside world, they'll need to go from strangers to friends to family if they're going to survive.
Yeah. I'm expecting it to be, like, cheesy, because it's animated. I've been watching... I've been watching Mighty Max. I don't know if anyone remembers that show, but I've been watching episodes of... Yeah. It's from the 90s. It's like, I've been watching it to inspire me when I'm, like, drawing Dino Defenders. And,
cool.
And, like, in that show, it's so cheesy, like, what the characters are saying, and you got this wisecracking lead character who, he talks like this, like, hey, man, I'm getting out of school early. I gotta go on a wild adventure. Like, he's great.
I thought that was Shaggy from Scooby-Doo for a second.
Actually, no. He's more like, oh, hey guys, like, oh man, oh jeez, let's. Wait, I'm gonna have to play a little. Man. Wait, let me play a little bit of Mighty Max's voice.
Hey guys.
I'm gonna play a little bit of his voice, and you'll see. Let me see. Let's see if I can get a clip of him talking and play it to you. Here we go. Ready?
Don't mess with me, buddy. I know the ancient deadly art of, voodoo. Yeah, and I can rip your eyes out and show them to you before you die.
I can rip your eyes out and show them to you before you die. Like, he's got a really weird voice. I'm expecting that sort of thing in Camp Cretaceous, like cheesy, over the top Saturday morning cartoon.
No.
I am.
I don't think we're going to get a 90s style cartoon out of Camp Cretaceous, because that was the main reason why a Jurassic Park cartoon never happened. Was they would kind of go the traditional 90s style cartoon route, and Spielberg would go, maybe this is right for Jurassic Park.
Oh, no, I meant more in terms of like the comedy of the show and the sort of tone in places. But I think the overall atmosphere of like the island and the dinosaurs and all that, and even the characters, I think it's going to feel very, very Jurassic. Like, I feel like they're going to nail it. But I do think it's going to be very lighthearted in places.
But I watched, to get ready for Camp Cretaceous, because I literally have no idea beyond its DreamWorks and Netflix. So I watched the DreamWorks Netflix show called Troll Hunters, and it's an animated show. And I wanted to get an idea of like what their writing was like, what their animation quality was like. Obviously, the subject matter is very different. It's going to be different individual writers and team members heading this, but it's still the same studio. And yeah, I was actually sort of surprised by it. It was compelling, and it was well made. I don't know. There's animated shows that are for kids, and then there's animated shows that are for kids. And this is more like, it's for kids, but I think that it could, if it were tied to a film franchise property and obeyed the rules of that film franchise, it very much would kind of be the same level of maturity as something like Star Wars Rebels. Maybe not quite the Clone Wars, but obviously Star Wars Rebels, it follows old characters. Troll Hunters follows younger characters for the most part. But what I'm hoping is Camp Cretaceous can be the Star Wars Clone Wars moment for Jurassic, and the Star Wars Rebels moment for Jurassic, where it is just a pinnacle of storytelling, animation. It's for kids, but it's entirely canonical to the franchise. It just expands the universe in such fantastic ways. It's well written. And I know the team behind it is really good. And honestly, some of the team members themselves have been tweeting things like about how people will try to debunk criticism against like animated kids shows, being like, "Oh, it's for kids, so your criticism doesn't matter." Like, no, please critique our work. Like, you need to challenge us, and you need to put more faith in what type of content kids can understand and consume. There's a reason why a cartoon for film is wanted. It's because kids watch and understand the film. So our cartoon should be able to hit those same levels of quality. Obviously,
that's really exciting.
Well, I mean, if they made Jurassic World to get this new generation into Jurassic, then that new generation is growing up. So
yeah,
Hi.
no, so I think that they're aiming probably for like the quote unquote 7 to 12 range, which I think aligns with like Star Wars Rebels. And which is pretty highly regarded from what I understand. I haven't really watched it, but I know Brad.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So you watch it, Tom?
I think I saw season 1 and 2, and I 3. But to be honest, once they got the initial story set up, and they kind of like done all the cheesy character introductions and stuff like that you'd expect, it actually really started to hit the same kind of beat as Clone Wars. So there is definitely a way to do something which appeals to kids and still has those more serious moments.
But it feels right, exactly. Like there's a way that you can make it appeal to kids, yet also not feel antithetical or unrealistic for the universe that's based on. Star Wars has been the pinnacle for how to do that, I think.
Definitely.
But I don't see it being unattainable for Jurassic. Like, don't get me wrong, this is going to be a kids show in a lot of ways, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be joyful. It's going to have playful moments, but doesn't need to break the rules of the universe and of the franchise, and just of what we understand to be Jurassic, to achieve these things. I think that I don't think we're going to see kids like wrestling velociraptors and holding them in the field or anything like that, which I think you might have seen in like the '90s cartoons if they ever happened. Like,
Or even in Jurassic.
That next suit, God damn it!
Or like in Jurassic Park the game, where what's his name? Not Yoda, the other guy. He like
Yoda and Jurassic Park the game. Oh, Yoda.
Yeah, there's a character called Billy Yoda, but it's not.
I thought you said Yoda, like Star Wars. I'm like, man, you really got these franchises.
You did not, Chris.
There's a character in the Jurassic Park the game.
Yeah, Billy Yoder.
Yoda, yeah. Not Yoda. Yeah, but I'm not even talking about that character. I'm talking about the big guy with the beard who he busts into a room and like shoulder barges a raptor and then slices it with a knife and stuff. I could see that kind of thing happening. But,
yeah, I absolutely think that type of stuff would have happened in the '90s cartoons.
It's funny because oh, go on.
No, I get the feel. Well, for one thing, I think Camp Cretaceous, following kid characters, is they're going to try to make the encounters that they come into a little less visceral.
They're going to be so quippy. They're going to be so quippy.
Yeah.
Let's get those Kelly Malcolm scenes again.
That's what I'm saying. I'm expecting many gymnastic scenes.
Oh man, don't do this to me. Don't take away the dream. I have hope.
The thing is,
believe.
I believe too. I think it's going to be great. Like obviously, I'm all for it, and it, you know, because we've been waiting so long for something like this. But I think it's going to be so strange for us as Jurassic fans to finally have something like this. Like it's going to be, I really do believe it's going to herald a new era of like not just content and stuff, but like just the overall feeling of the franchise as a whole. Because right now it's really been the films, the toys, and the video games. That's it. For sure. But this time we're going to have a whole other TV show to contend with, and Lord knows how many seasons that's going to go on for.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's monumental. It really is.
I was going to say it's quite interesting to highlight as well, because obviously we've spoken about how I've come into everything a little bit different. But even for me, it's very, very easy to see how things are different this time. Mainly because when Jurassic World came out, it kind of felt like it was building up to something. And, you know, we got the film and then that was it. There was just this lull and then nothing. So it's really, really interesting to see this time around, instead of it just being kind of that marketing funnel where we get Jurassic, it's released, and then Universal go on to their next property. This time we really do seem to be getting a lot more in the way of support for the franchise. And I think that's really exciting because it's taking really all the right steps to be something like Star Wars or like Marvel, where it can have all these different projects going on at the same time. And there's absolutely no reason why Jurassic can't be something like those franchises, because it's got so much potential there. So it's really nice to see that some of that at least is starting to be realised.
Well, I can definitely say when we were in pre-production on Jurassic World, there was all the people who worked on the film were like, "This film's going to be massive. This film's going to do really well. It's going to be one of the big contenders of the year." Everyone else outside of those I didn't really speak to them, but there's always I heard stories and stuff of them not really like placing too much bets on it, not having really much of a stake in it doing well. So then once the film came out and it smashed loads of records and stuff, they were like, "Oh crap!" Especially Hasbro were like, "Oh man, like what are we doing?"
Everyone was kind of caught twiddling their thumbs, and they're like, "Oh, we really kind of like Hasbro, particularly. We're like, ooh, we botched this. Like we had a golden property on our hands, which Hasbro used to really love Jurassic Park, but apparently some of the people that worked for them changed, and it eventually ended up going to people that weren't quite as on board.
So then now Fallen Kingdom comes around, and Universal knows how to like push the marketing and what to do with it, like once it's out, because it's like they now know what it is.
And they found partners that believe in the property. Like, look at what Mattel is doing.
It's
absurd how many Mattel toys there are. Like,
still not enough humans though. Still not
No,
enough
it
humans.
is a problem. And Mattel has commented on that. They try to make humans, and retailers were saying no. So then that's what happened.
Then you package the humans with the dinosaurs, son.
I agree.
Yeah.
There are Tom and I think we had this conversation.
We did, yeah.
You put them
Okay, I was
together.
gonna say, like, this is very familiar territory.
You put a Hammond in with the Brachiosaurus.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
You
And
put a
there are ways
Zack
to
and a
do it.
Grey with a Gyrosphere with an Ankylosaurus. Just put them all together.
Also, one of the things is you have to realize is retailers place their orders in about a year in advance.
Yeah.
For this year's toys that are out, retailers were ordering them before Fallen Kingdom toys even hit the market, which means they couldn't base their orders off of sales. So they presume, they made assumptions about what would sell and what wouldn't sell, and I don't think they expected the human figures to be such high sellers and so successful. So I think, looking to the future, I think there will be more faith with human figures in the future.
I think it's
hopefully.
worth noting as well. Obviously, all of those orders being made by Mattel absolutely at the Toy Awards as well.
Sorry, you cut off a little bit there, Tom.
Yeah,
My connection has been dropping in and out. I was going to say it's worth noting as well. All of those orders would have been made before Mattel absolutely smashed it at the Toy Awards, wouldn't they, Chris?
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, again, usually you have to kind of have stuff locked about a year in advance. So yeah, it creates a weird sort of thing. It's like, if we looked when this year's toys kicked off, they had done away with roars and Dual Attack replaced them, and it wasn't until later in the year that the Roarivores came back, because Roarivores, as far as I can tell, were one of the best sellers.
Yeah, definitely.
Last year's toy line, and you could tell that they had sought to replace them and had hard locked some replacements in before eventually shifting and going, oh wow, people really like these. Okay, let's get some more Roars out the door about halfway through 2019, which we're starting to see. But because they were such last minute additions, the Roars for this year are only repaints, where the Dual Attacks are the ones that are the new sculpts.
It's weird when you look at that as well, because that's probably going to then have a negative impact on something which was actually quite popular, just because of the way timeframes works. Obviously, people are always like, it's a repaint, I won't get that. But that's only because that's the way it had to work in order to bring them back in the first place.
Well, yeah, and keep in mind, collectors aren't the prime market for these items. So putting a Baryonyx on the shelf, plenty of people is fresh enough as it. It's a Baryonyx. It's large sized. It's got electronics, and it's cheap. And that is why the Roarivores sold so well. It's like, wow, these dinosaur toys are so big. They look so good. They're so cheap, and they bite and they make noise. Like, wow, this is so cool. And that is why they sold especially so well with kids, and why they will continue to sell as long as they have the right types of assortments on shelves. And
you just bung a human figure in with that Baryonyx, Mattel. Like, come on.
Exactly. And don't sell it as a human Dino 2-pack. Like, don't label it as
No,
such.
just name it as a Baryonyx.
Oh, no,
Baryonyx.
the story packs were
Baryonyx.
such a mistake.
Yeah, don't call it a story pack. Sell it as Stygimoloch, and then have that Stygimoloch also like mercenary included, but not like story pack, because that already sounds bad.
I think
if you just
oh, go on.
I would just say, if you sold it as like a Dino Battle Stygimoloch, and you're like, oh, that sounds so cool, and it's like mercenary included, it's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm getting a human figure with this Dino Battle Stygimoloch. But if you sell it as like a story pack, that sounds risky as itself. It's like, oh, it's a bundle, it's a play set, it's going to be a big item. What if they're not interested in the story moment? But just sell it as a dinosaur. That's what people want. Sell it as a dinosaur.
I also think the something to keep in mind for fans out there, and I obviously I have no idea if this is true or not, but like what I was thinking, like, why haven't we had a Hammond figure for so long, since ever? And I feel like is there like some rights to do with his likeness that they can't get a hold of?
No, because Lego just did it.
Yeah, but that's Lego. That's like a Richard Attenborough did not look like a Lego person.
I can tell you straight up that retailers have a lot of influence over what characters you create. And if you start throwing in a character like that, they're going to get worried it's not going to sell. On top of that Legacy Collection, Jurassic World Legacy Collection, as is right now, it's the only place they can put classic characters.
And it was mishandled.
The whole thing is well, for one thing, they're considering Jurassic Park dinosaurs as legacy characters, and they're not considering them parts of the active Jurassic World franchise, which is kind of silly. So they can't paint dinosaurs like their Jurassic Park counterparts and put them in the core line. So you can't just have a Jurassic World toy like that's properly painted as its Jurassic Park self.
God, the logistics of all this is just insane.
That part was totally mishandled. I can understand the human character. I can understand, hey, look, if they're from Jurassic Park and they're only in Jurassic Park, they can only be sold in that line. I get it. But the dinosaurs are part of the ongoing lifeblood of the franchise.
Yeah.
And they're still they're still like technically an active part of it. It's weird. I mean, yeah, some of them look different or whatnot, but there's no reason to say like they're not active. If that makes sense, it's hard to define it, but I don't think that it makes sense saying like, oh, you cannot get a Jurassic Park painted raptor in the Jurassic World toy line when we're getting like pink raptors and blue raptors. And
yeah.
It's like, why can't we just get a Jurassic Park raptor?
Well, they just paint it like a Jurassic Park raptor, and then if
not call it Jurassic Park and just make everyone happy. Exactly.
Just paint one like it, and then just don't call it Jurassic Park. Just have it out there. We'll all know what it.
My other issue is the Pteranodons. They have all these Pteranodons in the Legacy Collection, and not a single one of them are painted like a Pteranodon from any of the 3 Jurassic Park movies. It makes no sense. They have all these Pteranodons in the Legacy Collection, and not one single Jurassic Park 3 painted Pteranodon.
With the Pteranodons, it feels like they were just like, we'll make the whole sculpt exclusive. It doesn't matter about the paint.
What does isn't there a one of those? See, I'm not so into the toy world as you guys are. Like I don't really know too much, but like isn't there a Jurassic Park 3 shaped Pteranodon that's painted like the Jurassic World Pteranodons?
So this is interesting.
Is my mind playing tricks there? Is there one that...
No, your mind is not playing tricks, and this is really interesting. The Pteranodons that they sculpted, and there are a few different head sculpts, but they're all sort of similar, but their sculpt is an amalgamation of the Jurassic World Pteranodon design and the Jurassic Park 3 Pteranodon design. It's not accurate. It's not accurate to either one of the films. It's a weird mix of the two. And depending on what release it is, it's slightly... So the larger one is Jurassic World, or the smaller Legacy Collection one or
Jurassic Park 3.
But there absolutely is Jurassic Park 3 in the larger world release. Down to the fact that I believe it has teeth.
Okay. So it is accurate to the films, but not accurate to real life.
And not accurate. Well, Jurassic World Pteranodons don't have teeth.
No. I meant like the Jurassic Park 3 Pteranodons.
Yeah. However, so the Roarvor, the big one, it has the Jurassic Park 3 length crest and sort of silhouette of the Jurassic Park 3 crest, but sort of the texture of the Jurassic World one, and then sort of the shape of the Jurassic Park 3 head, but with those sort of like armored like plates around the eyes from Jurassic World, and then it's painted like Jurassic World. But yeah, it's not accurate to either one of them. It's a weird choice. It's sort of like they wanted to make it be able to be both.
So do you want to hear? Because I'm gonna close this podcast, whatever this chat is, off with this last subject because we've just hit just over an hour, and I feel like this is a good time to sort of cap it off for now. And, I've enjoyed it. Maybe we'll come back and do this again in the near future. But let's end on this subject. What would be your ultimate Mattel toy line?
Oh, Chris, do you want to go first? Because I could. Well, I feel like we could both talk about it for a while, actually. But
why don't you go first, and then I'll play off of what you say.
So mine would be a line that goes back to its roots. So obviously we were talking about how you should focus on the dinosaurs but pack other things in. So I would want each and every single figure to now. Obviously, bear in mind you'd have to find a way to do all the lists cost effectively before I jump into it.
For the sake of argument, just you're free to do anything. Like it's just
Cool.
in our imagination. Like what would you do?
So there would be small dinosaurs that would come with capture gear. So obviously that can be used with human figures. Then your medium dinosaurs would each either, if they were painted around a specific film, they would include a character from that film, or if not, they would just include a generic mercenary character. And all of those would come with larger pieces of capture gear. So the idea would be that each dinosaur you purchase isn't just a dinosaur, it's got something else to give, obviously, more avenues of play for children, to give more interesting elements for collectors and people who photograph things. And then this would tie into things like vehicles, where you could potentially have some functions where if you've got X figure with X piece of capture gear, it can clip into the vehicle like so. And you could do some interesting capture lines there. And then I would also want to see larger play sets where, say, for example, your big say your big dinosaurs, so your T-Rex, your Indominus, Spinosaurus,
Brachiosaurus.
Brachiosaurus, all those dinosaurs, they all come with modular fencing elements. So anytime you buy a big dinosaur, obviously you'd get a human figure as well because you're paying for that. It's a big price point. You also get a section of fencing that can either be used to create a paddock for that animal, or it can be used modularly with fencing from other packs to create bigger paddocks. So the idea is the more you buy, essentially, the more you're able to do. So if you had a kid who, for example, got a Brachiosaurus, a T-Rex, and a Spinosaurus for Christmas, they could put the fencing together from those 3 packs and create like a massive Jurassic Park if they wanted.
It's interesting you say that because Kenner used to do I know you haven't seen any of the Alien films, I don't think, Tom. But
the first two.
The first two, okay. So they had like a toy line of Aliens, Kenner did, when that was coming out. And with each box, they had like it wasn't plastic, but like they had a cardboard thing behind the figure that has like a section of a base on it. And then if you got all of them, you could clip them all together and you'd make like a playset base that you could then play with your aliens on. So it's that kind of idea has been done. But yeah, that the idea of the fencing would be awesome.
It's kind of like, obviously, so your best modern example is Hasbro's Build-A-Figures that you get with Marvel Legends. It would be like that, where you're collecting something, but as opposed to those figures where you have to get everything, here it would be a case of if you just get it on its own, you've still got something cool you can use with it. You've still got a piece of fencing, but it's just the idea that obviously everything can be connected together if you want. And then you open the door for doing things like, say, for example, a visitor's centre. All you would need to do in addition to that is just have modular attachment points on either side of the building, and suddenly it becomes compatible with the rest of the toy line. So for me, it would be really about having something that maximizes its play value. It has a lot included, so you get a lot of different possibilities, but you can also incorporate it all together.
Sounds to me like you've got enough dinosaurs and humans. You want the world to be built up.
Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
So I have like a lot of similarities to what Tom was saying. One of the play patterns that I felt was sorely missed, especially, I mean, for kids, when you think about these toys, they're meant to be played with. So what you want to do is develop play patterns. And one of the most logical play patterns for Fallen Kingdom, being the rescuing of the dinosaurs and capturing the dinosaurs to do that, would have been capture gear. And I think capture gear adds a lot of really fun playability because you can capture these dinosaurs, so you can have these human figures go in, round up the dinosaurs, eventually put the capture gear on them, and those can be good guys or bad guys. Then you can have the dinosaurs break free of the capture gear and run on a rampage, or you can have the good guys rescue the dinosaurs and break them free of the capture gear, or the bad guys let the dinosaurs out of the capture gear. So right there, you create a really cool play pattern there with different forms of capture gear that fits around the dinosaur, that can break away, muzzles, things that strap them into the back of vehicles, and really play on this sort of containment and escape element. and the sort of contained versus free element of the dinosaurs. So I'd really like to see capture gear.
Are you
I'm not
saying
sure
a
if-
control and chaos aspect of
Yeah,
the...
exactly.
Yeah.
And now I think I'm not necessarily sure that I would put it at one specific SKU. I would just say some dinosaurs just might come with it. Like it's not like guaranteed that every attack pack dinosaur comes with capture gear. It might be something that's like, hey, sometimes it's a roar, so sometimes you have capture gear for larger animals, sometimes they're smaller animals. Sometimes it's for really big ones. And that's the other thing I would like to explore is while having a play pattern per SKU makes sense, I would also like to play around with it a little bit. So occasionally you might have a roar that also has a piece of removable battle damage. Or like
Yeah.
like I wouldn't want battle damage to be its own line that's exclusive to Walmart. Instead, I would like to see it being a play pattern that's occasionally incorporated with some of the toys. I also wouldn't have had Legacy Collection be its own thing. I actually would just have the Legacy characters put under regular packaging the way Star Wars does, and on the back of the package just acknowledge the fact that it's from something else other than the current assortment.
Yeah,
On
just
the
have the
back, it would be
logo of the
like-
film.
But the front of it looks exactly the same. It could be a Jurassic Park Alan Grant figure in the current Fallen Kingdom packaging, and then on the back it would be like as seen in Jurassic Park or something like that.
As
Do you
seen in
remember
Chapter 1.
the? I was going to say, do you remember the mock-up I did for the collector's line ages ago, Chris, where I was like, oh, it would just change the logo in the top corner depending on the film.
Yeah, was that on the back of the packaging or the?
I think I put it on the front, but having it on the back would make a lot more sense.
Yeah,
it's
because
more coherent.
you want to make it more coherent, especially for the retailers, so they know
Yeah.
to put them all together and they're not turned off by it. Also, you don't tell them that they're ordering a Jurassic Park toy; they're just ordering Jurassic World toys, and it's all part of the same thing. And as we see with the dinosaurs, kids just like dinosaurs. They don't need to know that that's a Jurassic Park raptor. They don't need to recognize it as a Jurassic 1 raptor. As long as the toy looks good, they're going to buy it. For the collectors, that element's still there. In its representation, also it serves as a way to kind of bring the old and new alive and educate and sort of let new audiences experience the old by incorporating it all together. So yeah, play patterns like that I would like to bring in. I would like to maybe mix up the electronics. None of the small dinosaurs are electronic, and I would like to see some electronic velociraptors or electronic dilophosaurs.
See, when I was a kid,
Yeah.
I used to take the batteries out of my dinosaurs as soon as I got them. Because I was the opposite. When I was younger, I used to hate that they used to make noises, because I always used to do the noises myself.
Because I would play with them and I would just constantly try to make them bite one another, and the noises would just be like like stop. Yeah, no. I do get what you're saying. It would be cool if some of these things just had an off switch.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's the
my
other-
god! Just an off switch. just a switch that says off.
Yeah.
I would have loved that, because I did like the noises, like, because they sounded like. I remember it was one of the worst toys. The little tiny React Attack green Tyrannosaurus that, like, if you looked at it from above,
man.
it looked like a bit of paper. It was that thin. And, like, if you squeezed it, like, it had some of the coolest T-Rex noises in any of the toys, I remember.
some of those toys were really, really cool. Like Jurassic Park 3, I don't like the direction they went with the toys, but I can't deny the level of artistry. Like the sculpts are beautifully detailed.
I still
They're
own
super
my
stylized.
React Attack Spinosaurus, the little one. I love that thing. I think that's great.
Yeah, they're super stylized and really a weird choice for the toys, but the sculpting was like there's so much hard detail, every little scale and skin. So that's another thing for a level of with Mattel that I would say is an honest criticism is two things. Some of their detail is too soft. If you go up really close to the toy, you'll see a lot of finely sculpted detail in there, and it's like, wow, it's all there, but it just looks glossy from a few inches away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just found out my friend's coming over my house. He just texted me, "Hey, change of plans. We're not doing it at my house. We're come over."
Okay.
That's fine. I'll deal with that. It'll take him a few minutes to get here.
Well, we're wrapping it up anyway, because we could
So
be
yeah, I would
talking
like to get some harder, more deep details in there, where even if it's not accurate for the scale, you want it to read on the toy. So
Yeah.
that's what Kenner was really good about, finding a way to accentuate the right details where it didn't look unnatural, but it really popped on the toy itself.
Yeah.
And I would like them to maybe pay a little bit more attention to proportions, because some of the animals are suffering from super short tails and super big heads. And
Are you talking about the Allosaurus, the new one?
yeah, or like the Proceratosaurus.
The biting
There's-
fight feels like it's got a big head, to be honest.
Yeah, T-Rex has always had a big head though, so you know, that one doesn't bother me. Because I'm not saying it needs to be perfect. It does not need to be perfect. There's a difference between being entirely accurate, looking what we think it should look like, and I just think that they should look more like what we think they should look like.
Yeah.
I don't
And also
like those
maybe-
raptors with the huge feet. I don't like
Oh,
those.
they are silly
They
looking.
bug me. I don't
They're-
own any
they're-
or anything, but like they bug the hell out of me.
They're putting out in the. I'll send you a picture because you might not have seen it, but in the newest, it just came out. It's the Slashing Blue figure, and she's a bit of a resculpt. They finally, like, to me, that's like the pinnacle of a Velociraptor figure. Like, the proportions are good, the feet aren't Kenner size good, but they're not like the other ones. Her pose is neutral, and like you could repaint it, and it would be like, oh my god, that's a Jurassic Park raptor. And the pose just it's not that sort of cartoony look that some of the for some reason I felt like they did not nail the raptor. Oh,
No.
and don't get me wrong with don't get me started with the Raptor squad. Delta is like yellow with blue stripes, and
I think
Charlie
I think they've dropped the ball with that. If I'm honest.
agree.
I think they.
I
I do see them in the future. Mattel bringing them out, like
I kind of
redoing
hope
them.
they do with new sculpts, like you say, Chris. The new blue sculpt repainted would be really nice.
Also, the JP3 male raptor, he's on that goofy, big-footed.
Oh yeah, that upset me so much when I found it.
And his head sculpt
It's
isn't even that.
reused.
His head sculpt isn't that great. It's just sort of the other raptor head sculpts, but with like sort of a crest of feathers thrown on the back of it.
Yeah.
Or quills, and it doesn't look right. I would like them to like sculpt that one from the ground up, and also do the JP3 female.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd like to see some of the legacy characters. But Tom, honestly, otherwise the sky's the limit. Let's get more humans. Let's get more vehicles. Let's get play sets. I like your idea of fencing, modular things. Like just make it something that kids can play with. And make it for kids, but also make the elements there for collectors. And also, another thing I would love is theming for the dinosaurs that aren't from the films. So if you just have to create random dinosaur colors or random dinosaurs, if it's a random dinosaur, write a little bit of backstory. It might not be canon, but I'd love to hear like a backstory of where the Proceratosaurus that we see that toy, like its backstory, or like a lot of the other animals that they brought in. I'd like to hear a little backstory. And also theme some of the dinosaurs, like Desert Velociraptor or Jungle Velociraptor.
Theme them around evolution. The property's right there to be used.
Yeah, but I'm glad that Mattel can, because I'm not a big fan of a lot of some of the non-film dinosaurs that are in evolution. I'm not a big fan of their designs.
No, yeah, I would agree with that.
They're very simple. They don't really feel Jurassic. Not that Mattel has nailed every one of their designs either.
I do like their iguanodon. I have to say, their iguanodon is quite tasty.
Oh, yeah. By the way, that would make a cool toy.
Yeah, I think they could have really dropped the ball with that. But what's that one they released? The massive sauropod.
Acrocanthosaurus?
No, the sauropod.
You mean the?
Are we talking about the Mimicinosaurus or whatever?
No, the bigger.
The
Ultimasaurus, is that it?
No. Oh,
Argentinosaurus? No.
No.
There's like a giant sauropod.
Hold on, let me Google it. It came in the Cretaceous pack, didn't it?
Yeah, and it's got a bit of a dopey face.
It is the Dreadnoughtus.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is I don't really like the look of that one, just because I think it looks a bit dopey, and they teased the Dreadnoughtus DNA at the end of Fallen Kingdom. I'm like, if they ever do bring that to screen, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, oh my god. If it looks like that.
It's so different than anything else we've seen.
Oh, I agree. It looks different. It does look natural. Because there are animals in the real animal kingdom that look really weird like that. But I just don't like looking at it. I'm just like...
It's such a different approach to soft tissue, musculature and soft tissue on the face. And I like it because it's a different style.
I need to see it again. Let me Google this.
I'm looking at it right now. And I like it. It's just different. It just gives it a lot of unique character. It is goofy looking, but it's something about it is like, yeah, dinosaurs are weird, and there are so many different types of them.
Do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Like looking at it now, it doesn't look as. No, I'm looking at it now. No, it looks like a Oh, there's a mammal. There's a water. There's some sort of mammal.
Oh, is it a capybara?
Capybara, yeah. It looks like a capybara, yeah. I think that's what's throwing me off because it looks like a capybara's head, and then it's got this ridiculously long.
Oh my
neck.
god, it looks like a capybara.
Yeah, it's a capybara. That's what's throwing me off about it. I'm like, I don't like looking at it because it looks like a capybara with a really stretched out neck.
I like it. I don't know why. It's so bizarre and different.
It is a capybara, yeah. That is exactly what I'm thinking. That is why I'm. We've just answered it. That is why I don't like it. That
was the whole reason we did this thing today, guys, just to figure out why Jack didn't actually like.
Well, you have it here. Dreadnoughtus is actually just a capybara.
I do see.
It's
That's
not
what I mean.
extinct.
That's what I mean. It looks natural. It looks realistic because we have animals like capybaras. But because we have the capybara, it looks like a capybara with a ridiculously long neck.
The other issue is you cover up its face, the rest of its body literally just looks like a Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I know how this is going to end. And then you get to the face and you're like, the hell? It's like
the JP3 Brachiosaurs all over.
Yeah, except for those things were scary.
Those Jurassic Park 3 Brachiosauruses, I think people would have given. Who was I chatting? I think it was James and Steve. I was watching their Jurassic Unicast's live stream, and they were talking about the Jurassic Park 3 Brachiosaurus, and we all agreed that I think people would have given those a bit more of a pass because a lot of people don't like them. Had we seen the sort of grey Brachiosauruses that we know and love walking around in the background, if we actually saw some females walking around with them, I think people would have given them a little bit more leeway. But the fact that they were all like that, it's like...
It was the bad CG also that doesn't help that scene, and also their teeth. There were just so many little things that kind of compounded that scene, where it's the design on paper was probably fine, but the way they shot it, the way it looked, it just all about you go, ugh! It's just sort of... And then because you're going from this beautiful, majestic, gentle giant to that thing, and you're like, what the hell happened there? So, yeah.
I get it. I just don't like that Dreadnoughtus design. The Capybarasaurus, as I'm going to call it.
The capybara.
Yeah.
Now, I think it could have worked maybe if the rest of the body were sort of chubbier and thicker than you expect.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say for my ultimate Mattel toy, and I'm going to say this really close to the mic because I know Mattel will be listening, so listen to this, Mattel. Super Colossal Cooper. Super Colossal Cooper, please. I want a big 8-foot tall Cooper toy. And make the back of his head soft, so then I can get revenge for Grant. We can hit him in the back of the head, and then if you press him somewhere, he goes stop. With detachable shades, please.
Oh yeah, that's what makes or breaks it. To be honest with you. It's definitely the shades.
Super Colossal Cooper. Could you imagine? But my serious answer is I think I don't know, not Land of the Lost, but if Mattel did the Forgotten Toys sort of thing, so they go into, they make a Pteranodon that is that one with the different crest that was in the making of the Lost World that they used the maquette. You know that they didn't. I can't remember what the name of it now. Chris, you might know this more than I.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
There's a Pteranodon during the making of the Lost World where it had a big crest.
Geosternbergia.
Gostierbergen, whatever that. You know that one.
Hold on.
That one there.
Right, I think it's Geosternbergia.
Yeah, so I think if Mattel did a line of toys that were the sort of deleted stuff, but brought it to life. So if they brought that to life as one action figure, and more the lesser known ones like the Corymphosaurus and bring in the Jurassic Park Parasaurolophus.
Yes. These
Like
are
all the
things-
ones that like you don't really think of, but they are there. What's another one I'm thinking of? I don't know, like the Plesiosaurus in the new line, like that's what I mean, like that, because that was in a deleted scene from Jurassic World, or that was like not a deleted scene that was filmed, but like it was originally going to be in the film.
It was conceptualized, wasn't it?
Yeah, like anything that they should do a conceptualized line. That's perfect way of putting it.
dig into either the concepts that didn't make it, or like the side stuff that you really don't see that's slightly off screen, but like we have like the line art of it, or like it's on the Jurassic Park mural, or like the parasaurs in the backdrop.
Yeah,
of
the Jurassic
Park.
World Red Raptor. Like,
I really want a Stegoceratops.
I think they would do quite a good Stegoceratops. You know, considering what they've. You look at Hasbro's Stegoceratops, and then you look at Hasbro's Indominus Rex. Now you look at Mattel's Indominus Rex.
Yeah.
Then you can imagine what their Stegoceratops would look like.
Although I don't like the new design that's in Jurassic World Evolution.
No, I prefer the one that's on the computer.
Yeah, I very much prefer the concept design from Jurassic World.
I prefer it.
Evolution.
I will admit, I prefer the Stegoceratops to just only be that that screen that we see in Jurassic World as like a what if. I don't ever want to see that come to life outside of the toy line.
I am with you there, but considering it was on the screen, it'd be fun to see it in the toy line. But like, I don't know.
I remember reading that in the script, and originally it was a hologram. There was like a hologram in that room that was playing all these different versions.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, I remember reading it and reading the Stegoceratops thing and thinking, oh crap, like that's gonna be looked at as like in such a negative way, especially the fact that it's also a hologram, because the fans have to come to terms with the fact that there's holograms in the Jurassic universe.
I mean, I still kind of have trouble.
They downplayed it in Fallen Kingdom because they only have that one scene where you see him use it. I don't know if we'll see anything like that going forward, but I do like that they definitely the holograms felt dialed back to some degree in Jurassic World. It was like only in the visitor center and then not really anywhere else. But in the script, it was written, I remember, as that was a hologram that was playing in the background of all these what if scenarios, and the Stegoceratops was one.
It would have been easier to get like a look at some of the designs, which is why I'm like, oh, that would have been cool, because we would have at least been able to envision them in a 3-dimensional space as sort of like this sort of bizarro. Like, we're not getting this. Like that, to me, that almost felt like that screen almost felt like an homage to the Jurassic Park 4s that never. That's why I kind of dig it for what it is.
Yeah, I do like how it is in the film. It's like this screen playing through like Dr. Wu's proposed ideas for hybrids, and they're just like the fans. You can just hear them going, no, don't do it, films, don't go down that route. Anyway, right, I'm going to end it there, because we could be chatting for absolutely
Can
hours.
I drop one more thing quickly?
Go on.
To do with the toys.
Go on,
Did any of you guys get the Indiana Jones figures that Hasbro did? Because I really like the idea of having that one random accessory included, like they did in their cardboard boxes that came with the figures. So they did this thing where from the Area 51 storage container place in Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, they put like different props and things in these cardboard boxes that came packaged with the figures. So you could open one and it would have like an Egyptian relic or something. It would be cool to see them do something like that with the capture gear.
That actually does bring me back to something I forgot to add. Baby dinosaurs. That's what I want in the toy line. Have humans come with baby dinosaurs, not mini dinosaurs.
Yeah. No, I agree there. And eggs.
And that adds eggs. Patterns.
Where are the eggs?
Yeah, and that adds play patterns. And also, if you want a Triceratops in the small scale, guess what? It doesn't have to be a baby. You can do a juvenile, sort of a sub-adult. So then you can play around with these different like age ranges for these dinosaurs, and that way you can sell a smaller, cheaper T-Rex by making it a sub-adult T-Rex and changing the sculpt. And I think everyone would like that, because it adds a lot of play pattern as well. You can have these family dynamics that kids can play with and really explore.
Super colossal baby Cooper. You've heard it here first.
In.
I really do now want a Super Colossal Cooper. Why have I just ruined that for myself? Oh, that's now number 1 on my list.
I mean, surely we've got to get you Desky as well. Then I'd be more open to it. Like maybe you know.
He comes with a stick that he holds. Anyway, right. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. I know it was a bit random.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun, yeah.
And I hope everyone listening, you're all enjoying Jurassic June and all what's on offer from everyone out in the community. And Dino Defenders, go watch it.